You know, every single house on every street has a history, a silent story that's just held within its walls. Today, we're going to peel back the wallpaper of time and uncover the absolutely fascinating lives hidden inside one particular house in Sidmouth, Devon.
Would they tell us about a quiet retirement, or maybe long, peaceful decades of family life? Or would they talk about being a bustling hub for the whole community? You see, the story of a building is really the story of its people. So come on, let's meet the residents who made Powys House what it was.
So for this story, we're going to treat the house itself as our main character. It's the one constant, the silent witness to the changing decades of the 20th century. And you'll see its whole personality, its whole vibe, it shifts and evolves with every new person who walks through that front door.
And here's our roadmap for the journey. We're going to meet 4 key people whose lives really defined Powys House for almost a century. We've got 2 doctors from London, a quiet widow who stayed for decades, and then, finally, this incredibly dynamic philanthropist who would change not just the house, but the entire town forever.
Okay, so our story kicks off at the turn of the 20th century. This was a time when Powys House became a kind of haven for people looking to escape the chaos of London. It was the perfect spot for a quiet retirement right by the sea. First up is Henry Cox Wilkin. He moved in around 1899, coming from a super posh address in Kensington, right near Hyde Park. Now, the record lists him as a surgeon, but back then, that probably just meant he was a family doctor, a GP. History hasn't really recorded much about his career, and that actually tells us something really important. He came to Sidmouth to live out his final years in peace with his wife Catherine. He was done with work.
The next resident was also a surgeon from London, but he was a completely different character. This was Bilton Pollard, a highly respected figure with consulting rooms on Harley Street, the place to be. He was a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, a surgeon at University College Hospital. I mean, this guy was a real heavy hitter in the medical world.
And here's where the house's story takes a really interesting turn. You've got 2 surgeons, both retiring to the very same house, but their stories could not be more different. Where Wilkin's career was pretty quiet, Pollard was so trusted and so skilled that he was known as the student surgeon. He was the guy his own colleagues went to for help. And yet, his time at Powys House was super short, just 6 years. It kind of makes you think it might have been more of a holiday home for him than a final resting place.
So after the doctors, Powys House enters this whole new phase, a much longer, much quieter, and way more stable period under the care of a single resident who would shape its character for an entire generation.
And here she is, Minnie Wallace. A wealthy widow and a mother to 7 children, she moved into Powys House around 1920. Now, unlike the previous residents with their very public careers, Minnie lived a very, very private life. The house stopped being a retiree's escape and became a true family home, a sanctuary.
And this number right here is so important, 30. For 3 decades, an entire generation, Minnie Wallace was the one constant at Powys House. This was its longest period of stability in the whole 20th century. I mean, just imagine, through the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression, the Second World War, the house just settled into this quiet, consistent rhythm. It was a long, peaceful era of privacy.
But after that long, quiet period, well, everything changed. The next resident was about to throw open the doors and the gardens, transforming Powys House from a private retreat into a vibrant center of community life.
This is Alinda Emily Watson, but everyone knew her as Evelyn. She arrived around 1954, but her story actually starts just up the road at her former home, a place called The Knoll. She wasn't just a new resident, she was a major force in the community, a philanthropist, and a passionate gardener who brought a completely new energy to the house.
Now, to really understand Evelyn, you first have to know about her incredible husband, Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Watson. This guy was a decorated military officer who was awarded the Distinguished Service Order for his service. But get this, he was also a first-class cricketer, famous for being one of only 4 players to ever hit a 6 over the legendary St. Lawrence lime tree in Canterbury, a true man of action.
When Arthur passed away in 1952, it was his wish to give their magnificent home, the Knoll, to the people of Sidmouth, and the purpose was so clear and so generous, for the benefit of the town's residents and visitors. This one single act of philanthropy is what set in motion the chain of events that would bring Evelyn to Powys House.
So here's how it all played out. To make her husband's wish a reality, Evelyn had to move out, so she chose Powys House, which was just a short walk away. This move allowed the knoll to be transformed first into a convalescent home, and its beautiful grounds became the public park that people still enjoy to this day. Her move to Powys House was the key that unlocked this amazing gift for the whole town.
And at Powys House, Evelyn did not just retire quietly. Oh no, not a chance. She filled the house and its grounds with all of her passions. She was president of the local British Legion Women's Section and the Horticultural Society. The once private grounds of Powys House became the venue for the annual flower show, and she would frequently open her garden to the public to raise money for charity. The house had found a brand new, public-facing purpose.
So, as our story of the residence comes to a close, we're going to focus on the most visible legacy that was left behind, one that you can literally still see and touch today. And here it is. This is that legacy, still thriving today. This is the garden of Powys House. As a super keen gardener, Evelyn had a huge influence here. She introduced so many of the trees and shrubs that are flourishing right now. Her passion didn't just create a beautiful space for her time. It created a living, breathing memorial that continues to grow and change, a perfect tribute to a remarkable woman.
So when you step back, the transformation is just incredible. The very same brick and mortar that was a quiet coastal escape for two London doctors later became a widow's private sanctuary for 30 years, and then, finally, it became this vibrant stage for a philanthropist's public life. The story of Powys House is the story of the 20th century, all playing out within its walls.
And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we walk past the houses and buildings in our own neighborhoods, what stories are unfolding inside them right now? What quiet lives, what long stays, what acts of public generosity are shaping their futures, creating the legacies that someone 100 years from now might just uncover?